Welcome to Bywords. I'm Jack Hicks, Kentucky editor and columnist for the Cincinnati Enquirer. I'm here at Northern Kentucky University. My guest this evening is a man who knows a whole lot about bull. One bull in particular. Bobby Mackey's his name. He operates a country club in Wilder, Kentucky known as Bobby Mackey's Club. And the star there along with Bobby is a bull known as El Torro, or Torro. Tell us a little bit about the same.
Okay, I don't mind sharing the building with El Torro and the bull. It's been a great thing that's come along that a lot of cowboys have been riding. I have 4 of them. I have 2 star bulls, which is a new bull that I've gotten since the El Torro.
Before we go any further, maybe we ought to tell the folks that now these are mechanical bulls. These aren't these aren't rip snorting. Well, they're rip snorting, but they're not the 4-legged bulls with horns and so forth. But they do have horns.
When I first got this bull, and advertised that we had a bull to ride, some people would come in looking for it, and they thought it was live to start with. Thought it was a live bull. Wouldn't know where I kept it.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of folks by this time have probably seen the movie Urban Cowboy and have heard about cowboy clubs and bull riders and so forth. There's even a little song goes something to the effect of, I think we'll come back to that a little later, but
okay.
What about just describe a cowboy club? What's a cowboy club? Who comes to a cowboy club and does what?
Well, we have all types of people, but I do think people dress up, put their cowboy hats and cowboy boots and jeans. I think they dress up especially to come there. I think they know where they're going when they put it on. But the way the club has done a turnaround since the bull, and a cowboy is a guy with a long neck beard in his hand and a cowboy hat and looking for a cowgirl to dance with.
You don't have to. I've heard friends of mine from Texas is referred to that as a goat roper. You know what's a goat roper? Have you ever heard that expression before?
I have, yes.
Tell us what's your definition of a goat roper?
I don't know. I wouldn't touch that.
Oh, I've always heard it's what a real cowboy, somebody who really works for as a living, herding cattle, what he calls a fellow who dresses up and so forth. It's been said that a lot of these folks that come to cowboy clubs probably never get closer to a real cow than the checkout line at McDonald's. What kind of people come to your place?
Or a mechanical bull.
What kind of folks are they that come and put on boots and hats and so forth and ride bulls and say pardon?
I don't know. We have all kinds. All of our people are not cowboys and cowgirls. We have people that come just to enjoy the music and dance. But there are all types of people, and I find that a lot of great people.
These are folks that go right back to working in a bank or maybe driving a truck the night on Monday, or they're out having a good time on Saturday night.
I guess if they can go out and be a cowboy on Friday and Saturday night, well, maybe it takes the monotony out of everyday life. That's a change. Escape, maybe.
Yeah, how about a little bit about El Torro and some of the other bulls? Can you describe a little bit how they work as far as the mechanics of them and what they do?
Well, I first, the first that I'd heard about the mechanical bull was, I got a newsletter from Gilley's Club out in Pasadena, Texas. I was over at UBE Radio one day, and about this mechanical bull, and I'd heard that John Travolta was going to star in a movie that they were filming at Gilley's.
That's
riding the
That's
mechanical
Mickey Gilley.
Mickey Gilley's
who's
club.
been a country entertainer for a long time and so forth. Okay, and
so Paul O'Brien went to his office. He's the program director there, and came back with this newsletter. And the newsletter was filled with things about Travolta being around Mickey Gilley's club while they were filming the movie, and that he'd learned to ride the bull, was doing the Cotton Eye Joe, and so on and so forth. So I knew that when the movie came out, it would have to be something great. This mechanical bull was going to be before all the public. So I thought I should go out and check it out. So I caught a plane. My promotion manager, R.J. Seifert, and I flew out there to check this bull out.
That's out to Houston.
Out to Houston. And in fact, we made it a one-night trip out of it. We flew out, went to Gilley's Club, and straight back to the airport and flew back. So it was a tiring trip, but we enjoyed it. Anyway, my first impression when I got there check this bull out. My first impression was that it was just too rough. I did not think that
these
cowboys
Kentuckians
around
could
here,
handle it.
I didn't think that the cowboys around here would want to tackle this bull because, well, Texas is rodeo oriented, and they got more bull riders out there than they have around here. However, they're becoming more and more bull riders around here. But I watched it for a while, and then I saw a couple of girls ride it, and it kind of tamed it down a little bit. And I thought, well, I've got to give it a try. So I bought a bull that night, and within 2 weeks it was in the club. And the movie, before the movie, people were fascinated with the bull. They would come in and people get a big kick out of it. People that would never think about getting on it get a real big kick out of watching people ride it and get thrown off of it.
That seems to be as much fun watching somebody get tossed as it does doing it yourself.
That seems to be what it is. It's a bull mania, I call it, that's going on. But anyway, the bull, it was originally built to train professional bull riders. That's what it was for. And it acts similar to riding a live bull. It has 9 speeds. This one in particular, the one El Torro. Of course, I have a couple of star bulls that have 10 speeds. But this El Torro has 9 speeds. And on that particular one that came from Gillies, you have to change the speed of the buck on the bull itself. But on this new star bull that I have now is a much better bull and has a remote control. You can control the speed from a remote control box over where the operator is.
It would seem to me, though, that somebody get on there and want to turn it up full speed and give somebody a real ride. I guess that could get pretty dangerous.
Well, yes, it could, but that's also what the mattresses are for.
Yeah. Talk about that a little bit. I'm wondering if people don't get hurt on this thing.
Nobody's been hurt real bad that I know of. Bruised up a little bit maybe and things like that, but not real bad. And they take it all in fun. They sign a release form when they get on the.
I was going to ask if you'd ever been sued.
No, I haven't. And there've been several riders.
How many people in the course of an evening will ride this thing?
Well, on Friday and Saturday night, we'll have maybe 100 riders. Well, everybody doesn't want to ride it. Take me, for instance.
I was going to say, have you been on it at all?
No, I don't ride the bull.
I'll mess up your guitar picking fingers there a little bit while you're at it.
Very possible.
Let's get away from the bull for just a second. Talk about Bobby Mackey, the entertainer. You're originally from Vanceburg, Kentucky?
Near Vanceburg, at a little town called Concord. It's 12 miles from Vanceburg, up in Lewis County.
Tell me how you got into country music.
I started singing when I was just big enough to talk. My dad was a trucker, and he was out of town quite a bit, away from home. And one day he came in. My mother had taught me to sing a song, and like I had got a little bigger than he thought I was, and I sung this song for him when he came in.
Because it wasn't Giddy Up Go, was it?
No, it wasn't Giddy Up Go. 30 Pieces of Silver, to be exact. But anyway, I was in a talent contest when I was 4 years old. I sung.
Not to interrupt, you're a young man now. You're only, what, 32?
32.
32.
Mm-hmm. I sung You're Cheating Hard in a talent contest, and that was out new at the time, a Hank Williams song. And I won first prize, which was $5. And not because I could sing, I just had some nerve, I was about this tall and curly hair, so I won the prize. But all through high school, while the Beatle rage was going on, I was still singing Waltz Across Texas, and Walking the Floor Over You. And by the way, we had Ernest Tubb at the club a few weeks ago. Had a big cowboy party. That was a great thrill to have Ernest there.
Have you ever had a particular idol such as Ernest Tubb, you look a little like Elvis Presley. We were saying that before. Maybe a different hair, but your features and so forth.
That's a supreme compliment. I've been compared to different people, but I try to do my own thing my own way. And so far, luckily, I've had success in Cincinnati is having crowds, and I really appreciate every bit of it. I played other clubs for almost 10 years before I got my own club in in Wilder.
You have traveled. Were you ever into the bus circuit? We hear a lot about country entertainers being out.
Not a lot. I look for that to come if I get the breaks that I'm trying to get.
Have you ever appeared with people that the audience would know?
I've
you
appeared with
mentioned
many
Ernest Tubbs coming
artists.
here.
George Jones was at my club back last January, and that was a great thrill because I grew up singing George Jones songs, and he's been my idol for years, and when he was introduced on my stage, it was quite a thrill.
Didn't bring Tammy Wynette with him, did he?
No, Tammy wasn't with him.
Have you ever, do you try to, I've noticed that a lot of country singers, it seems to me, when they sing George Jones's song, they try to sound like George Jones, or if they sing Merle Haggard, they try to sound like Merle Haggard. Do you have to affect that, or are you always Bobby Mackey singing somebody else's song?
Well, I'm always Bobby Mackey singing somebody else's song, but I still like to do the song the way that people recognize it, the way they hear it. If it's a George Jones song, there's not many ways of doing it, except for doing it in the George Jones style, but still, I put my own style to it.
Well, the hours that a fella has to put in in a profession like yours.
Sleep all day and work all night.
Is that, you're into that, are you?
Yeah, that's...
How's that work with the family? Do you have a family, I guess?
Yes. My wife works at the club. She manages the bar. And so she's with me, and so we have the same hours. And we have a 13-year-old daughter, Anita, which I think maybe she might be a singer. She wants to be. And we have a 2-year-old, Shonda, which was a small baby when she was born. She weighed 1 pound and 15 ounces at birth. And anyway, it's a hectic life. As I said, sleep all day and work all night. But I love the music business. I'm dedicated to country music, and I wouldn't want to do anything else.
Well, speaking of bus tours and places and so forth, I picked you up one time, I guess we could say, or saw your gig. I don't want to try to sound like I'm into the music thing myself. It probably one of the most unusual audiences a man would ever have, and that was at the LaGrange Penitentiary. And Bobby wasn't an inmate there.
I wasn't
qualify that. He was there as an entertainer. But tell us a little bit about how that came about and the experiences that you had playing for the people who were incarcerated there.
Bob Lotz, my lawyer, got that together. He takes shows down there quite a bit, and it was a big thrill for me. One of the best audiences that I ever played for.
It was a captive audience, you might say.
Well, it was a captive audience, but they also just enjoyed it to no end. At the end of each song, if you remember, the shouting.
Oh yes.
Every inmate had a song he wanted to hear.
About froze to death, as I remember. It was in winter time.
Yeah, it was very cold.
And everybody, it was in an auditorium there, and they were, everybody was smoking cigarettes, and the smoke got so heavy in there, they had to open the doors to let some of the smoke out, and then it was,
cold.
It got awful cold.
But I really enjoyed it. As I said, between each song, everybody was yelling out a song. And I couldn't understand none of it. It was just one constant roar.
I noticed they yell the loudest when you'd sing one that had some prison.
Folsom Prison Blues was a big hit.
Shot a man in Reno, and they all went woo.
Yeah. And they got to dancing a little bit to Johnny B. Good.
Yeah. Your group enjoyed it. I know you. Do you have the same band, or does it fluctuate quite a bit?
I have the same band. In fact, the bass player Ernie Vaughn has been with me. Actually, since I first got started actively in the business in this area, and he's a good singer in his own right, bass player. And steel guitar player been with me about 6 years, Dale Wagner, and David Short on lead guitar started with me when I opened the club in Wilder, and so did John Hoffman, drummer, and Tom Lutini, keyboard player, and he also sings.
Speaking of LaGrange, I didn't get in on this, but I believe it hasn't been too long ago. Didn't you take Torro down there and have a contest between the inmates and the guards who could stay on Torro?
Yeah, we took with the Star Bowl is one we took down, and
what is Star Bowl? Is that just like a trade name now?
The Star Bowl is the name of the new bull I have.
But it's
El Torro is the name of the Gillies bull.
Okay, these are trade names, so they're basically the same. They're mechanical bucking bull.
They're mechanical bucking bulls, and the star bull, that was built. We took the star bull down there and had a little ride-off between guards and inmates, and the inmates won by just a few points. But
I would imagine
you should have seen the warden ride the bull.
Uh-oh.
And he got thrown off.
I would imagine the inmates got a little bit of a kick out of that.
They loved that.
When the warden bit the dust.
They loved to see the warden get thrown off.
Yeah, talking about that bull, I think not only have you had inmates and wardens on it and everything, you even had a wedding on the bull. Didn't you one time out at your club in Waller?
Yeah, we had a wedding on the bull, and Judge Tim Nolan was there. He did the honors. And
what did the bride wear? I'm curious about that.
Blue jeans. Blue jeans, cowboy hat, and cowboy boots.
Who gave her away, did you?
I gave the bride away. And it was a lot of fun. They were seated on the bull, facing each other. And
nobody threw it in gear about that time, did they?
When Judge Nolan said, "I now pronounce you man and wife," they kind of kicked the bull in gear and let him ride off into the sunset.
That's beautiful. It shows that life is a rocky road sometimes, or there's a lot of.
It was my bull also that was on the games people play.
That's right. Johnny Bench was on that, as I recall.
Right.
Is that aired yet?
Yes, it's aired. We took the bull up to Kings Island and filmed that segment of games people play, and they brought riders in from Gillies Club in Pasadena, a cowboy and a cowgirl, their best riders, and a club in Dallas, Texas, sent their riders, and a club in Phoenix, Arizona, sent their riders, and they had a little rodeo up there, and riders representing me, Gary Wasson, as the.
I've seen both those kids ride. Boy, they really, they don't just sit on that thing and hang on.
They won.
They get with it.
They won the thing on games people play.
How in the world? That is the style. You don't just sit on the thing and hold on. What do you do to?
There's a form to it. However, we've gotten into on Tuesday nights at the club. We have a buck off, and we give $100 to the cowboy who can ride the longest by the stopwatch. It doesn't have anything to do with form, except he cannot touch himself with his free hand. He cannot touch himself or the bull. That's when it stops the time.
You've had at least one and maybe more an actual rodeo of local people that in various divisions and things for men and women and all.
Yeah, we've had a couple rodeos. Then we kind of reformed it and put it in the form of the buck off with the stopwatch, because it's hard to judge form. But we're going to have a real live rodeo Memorial Day weekend, a 3-day weekend. We're having the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of that weekend. I'm having a real live rodeo out of Stone Valley.
Oh, I see. With real, you're bringing in regular performers and so forth. Now these aren't going to be mechanical bulls, obviously.
No, these are going to be real live bulls, and that ought to be fun. I've never seen a real live rodeo. So.
I haven't either. I was in Ellensburg, Washington, not too long ago, and they're supposed to have the biggest and oldest one in the country up there. And
I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma one time, where I played one weekend there, Friday and Saturday night in Tulsa, Oklahoma, at a club, and out back of the club there was to be a rodeo that Sunday, but I had to leave and head back home after the show Saturday night. I missed it.
Bobby, what about country music in general? When I was a kid growing up, it was thought of as hillbilly music, and it was just wasn't in. Is it peaked, and is it or where's it at?
As I said earlier, back when the Beatles were popular, I was singing country songs, and I always have, and I always will, and I have been able to always have a crowd in the clubs that I've played, the previous clubs before I got my own. I was at a place called the Apple in Woodlawn for 2 years, and the Boulevard in Springdale 4 years and 3 months.
These are Greater Cincinnati
clubs in Greater Cincinnati. I went from the Boulevard to Julie's in Sharonville and was there for about a year and a half, and then got my own club, and I've seen it grow, and I feel I've helped it grow.
I would agree with that, and your club is interesting in its own right. Just a little bit about Bobby Mackey's club, what it used to be, and some of the things that you ran across after you moved in.
You should have seen the place when I first seen it. It had been closed up for a long, long time, and it was really in bad shape.
I point out to the audience that it was once known as the Latin Quarter. It was one of the notorious gambling clubs. It's in Wilder, Kentucky, but it's just outside of Newport. It's a huge rambling kind of place.
There's a huge safe there that is fascinating. A great big safe. They had to build a building around it. You have to tear the wall out to get it out. And I'd like to have all the money that's been put in that thing before.
You haven't gotten down, tried to look for secret passages there, or walls that fold away, or
I feel there's no use. I'm sure that they went over with a fine tooth comb.
Somebody's already gotten through that already. I think you told me one time, enter some secret doors and one thing and another that you've already found it.
There are secret passageways that all over the place that is quite fascinating.
What? Again, back to Bull. If I went out there tonight now, why in the world do you think I'd want to ride it, or so forth? Is it a challenge, or what makes a guy want to get on there and maybe get his neck broke?
You probably would until you had a couple of U-poles, you know.
Long neck. Tell me, what's the difference between a long neck and a beer? Now that's a
the returnable bottles, the long neck returnable bottles.
That seems to be in Texas. Somebody told me you don't see anybody drinking out of a can or a throwaway in Texas.
You should have seen the trouble I had when I changed from the cans to the long neck beers, because they're much harder to fool with, the waitresses, and they're harder to carry. You know, it's easier to take a can and throw it in the garbage rather than bring a bottle back. I had a whole lot of trouble with that, but I said, well, let's give it time, see if it doesn't get easier. And now it's if I change back to cans, they'd be a problem. So it worked out good, and it's the cowboy thing.
Yeah, if somebody is calling somebody a hillbilly a stigma anymore now, or that as opposed to music now, is not getting into somebody's ethnic lineage or something like that. But there once was a time when I believe that might have been. But now it's almost like people wear it as a badge, don't you think? With since the music and all.
Yeah, I don't think people think hillbilly anymore. I don't know. That's a sticky term there. I come from way up in Kentucky, but it was never referred to as really hillbilly country.
Do you ever get back up there now, or ever do a benefit?
Very seldom. Sometimes I go back. I was back and did my hometown county fair, the Lewis County Fair in Vanceburg. Had a huge crowd, and I was really happy with that.
I've done a lot of grouse hunting up there. I know there's always, speaking of Lewis County, I've heard the term that there's places in Lewis County that no white man's ever walked, meaning that only Indians had been through that area. And I like to think I've climbed some of those hills myself, believe it or not, doing a little grouse hunting.
My dad owns some land up there, and they say they're
Kennebec.
Well, no, it's on the just west of there, and they say there are some Indian mounds there on his land.
Bobby, you're quite a promoter. You're only 32 years old. You've come a long way. You've got your own nightclub, and you've been a lot of places and so forth. What's in the future for you? What would you like to do?
Well, my ultimate goal is to be as successful as I can be in the country music business. Some people label that as being a star. I don't like to think of it that way. I just like to be as successful as I can be. And I'd like to have hit records and be maybe nominated for Singer of the Year sometime. But these are things you have to have goals in life, and these are things that I would like to do. And in fact, I just come out with a new record that I have big hopes for, called Hero Daddy.
Is it about a daddy's hero because he rides a bull, or is he?
No. It's a sad song, really. It's about a little girl that thinks her daddy can do anything. He's a hero, and that she is run down by a car and is going to be paralyzed. And she says that she tells her mother that wait till Daddy gets here and he'll make it all right. And so he starts to enter the room and hears this, and he stops and says a little prayer about it and says that she thinks I can make her well, but I can't. And then he says that little prayer, then he goes into the room and takes her by the hand, and she wiggles her toes. So
that's great. Did you write that?
No. Two boys here in Cincinnati wrote it, Gary Collins and Randy Branham. I think it's a great song, and it's really sad. I don't know whether that'll be a plus for it or a minus, but will get some attention anyway.
What I guess every kid, girl and boy, everywhere in Kentucky that ever picked up a guitar or listened to country music and would like to be a country singer or a country entertainer. What do you tell a kid that would follow in your footsteps?
I would say sing, perform in front of anybody you can, anytime. Get as much exposure as you can, and you must be dedicated, I believe. I think that's one of the biggest things. You have to have talent and you have to be dedicated.
There's a little verse maybe you could run through about a bull rider. You don't have to sing it because you don't have a company, but how's it go? I think of it every time I see somebody on a bull out at your plate.
I'm a wild bull rider.
That's
I love
it.
my rodeo.
I said, okay, how's it go now? I'm a wild bull rider.
I'm a wild bull rider. I've changed that around. I say now I'm a star bull rider, and I love my rodeo. I ride that bull to hell and back for the money and the show. My pappy was a pistol. I'm a son of a gun. I ride wild bulls just to have some fun. The higher they get is a little too low for me.
Yeah. There was even a verse, something on one about I'm a lover and a fighter and a wild bull rider. But I think that's another one that somebody put out. But,
yeah. You mentioned earlier what would make somebody want to get on there. I think it's a challenge. I think it's a challenge. There sits that bull, and there are people who can ride it. I mean, there are people who can stay on it. There are other people who get thrown off.
Bobby, as they say in country music, the old clock on the wall's rolling around, and we got to get on out of here for another night. And I want to thank Bobby Mackey and our friends here at Northern Kentucky University. This has been Bywords.